This is the one that's going to try to make me feel better about myself. All right. All right, friends. Welcome back to the podcast that accompanies the Passion Project. You'll note the emphasis there as part of this content today, which I'm calling No Other Life. And this was just going to be a casual slip in to the beginning of the next episode. And then I thought, well, there's actually some material there that could be expanded a little bit. So if you'll afford me a few moments here of your time, I hope you'll appreciate this here bonus episode, because it is out of the canon that was and will continue to be about new beginnings and caring for those people who are going through change. But I want to step out for a moment to kind of set a table for you on some of the funny little thing that happened as I've been working through the last month. So when I first released those 4 previous episodes, which I got great response from, and I really appreciate all of the love and support and the messages that people have sent me saying, this really resonated with me. I'm going through this, or that helped me through a particular time. These really did come to me regarding something that I extended to you. And boy, does that feel good. Boy. So I thank you for that. And as they say, full disclosure, I recorded those 4 episodes in a sprint of a couple days back in September. And I wanted this whole project to begin on the autumnal equinox, as you know, if you've been with it from the start. And I released them, I scheduled them in advance to come out on Sunday night into Monday at midnight for a series of 4 weeks. And based on the response, based on whether someone said, or multiple people would say, like, there's this horrible production error that's happening consistently, or, whatever. I was coming from a cold start, so I wanted to let some things get out there and then say, okay, I'm ready to dive into the episode, which is coming out soon, that's going to tie the models together, add one more very important piece of vocabulary that you couldn't have until you had the 8 models in mind, and that's going to really start to keep us going in the right direction. And at some point in the last couple weeks, I realized that I wanted to do that soon, but life was coming at me at the speed of life. I wish I could give attribution to whoever first said that. I think it's hilarious, and I run scriptless and try to do it in one take, so I'm not going to look that up right now. But I had life at the speed of life, and using the vocabulary of no other life, I needed to give time to those whom I hold dear. I needed to nurture relationships. I needed to make some hospital visits. I needed to spend some weekends with people rather than a microphone, which, of course, a weekend is a time when you here in America are given precious few hours to do anything, and you need to make choices. And the sun is changing right now in our time zone, in our hemisphere. Something about science, I don't know, but I come home and it's dark now. So I can't do outdoor things until the weekend. And now it's getting freezing, and my unheated recording space in my home is really cold right now, but I wanted to continue my trend of wearing brand new t-shirts. This one, a delightful mashup of Barack Obama's candidacy and Cookie Monster. And that actually is kind of part of this story, which, by gum, I better get into because I've already taken up the moments that I asked for. So at some point, I was going through, knowing that I needed to record my next episode, realizing that I had this urge. I had a lot of things that I want to say. I want to keep that canon going and have bonus episodes like this here and there and so on. And I was looking at some aggregator of podcasts, and it said the name and my name, and anytime I see that cover art, I feel so happy that I am doing this, because it's been, a podcast been around like 15 years, and I was one of the earliest listeners, but aside from one kind of funny story, I really haven't been creating podcasts. Anywho, this particular aggregator had a field at the bottom that said releases, Mondays. And I thought, oh no, like, I didn't tell you that. And I freaked out for a minute. And I had scheduled them, and anyone who was subscribed was receiving them on Mondays. But I thought to myself, wow, this passion project just got real because an aggregator bot had the intelligence to say, oh, I see a pattern here. Let's say he releases on Mondays. And I did not say that it was even released weekly, let alone a specific day. And then I started to realize how often I feel like I'm letting someone... Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
I see you. I'm leaving. They're here.
They're here?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were coming yet.
Yeah, they're here.
I love you.
Love you.
Have fun. Bye, baby. It's funny. So, I wonder if I'll leave that in, actually. That was a good interaction to prove life at the speed of life. I always think about on Full House, they had the recording studio in the basement with the on-air sign, and somehow they got trapped down there, and people upstairs were like, oh, they're on air, I can't go down and whatever. So anyway, this is a great episode. At least it's bonus. All right. So, anyway, where were we? So I think I was actually about to say that I always felt like I was letting someone down. Now, I am super experienced at letting my wife down. If I had just ignored her and said, go away, I think I would have let her down. So that's one time where I did the right thing. I know what it feels like to let my parents down. I owe them everything in the world, and I feel like I fail them. I feel like I let my sister down, as she's taking care of them much more adeptly than I am right now, but we do our best, you know. Anyway, so, yeah, this goddamn bot says that I release on Mondays, and I have that flutter where I feel like I've let a bot down, and I said, no, this is preposterous. It's time to reevaluate here. Because anything that is meant to be fun should be fun. And anything that you have an idea in mind of a schedule, well, that's cool. I'm a planner by heart, so I have quite an idea about what I'm trying to do here, roughly when I'm trying to release it, and so on. But in the end, I'm not contractually obligated to do this by anyone. I don't have advertisers requiring XYZ of me. I'm not under the care of, or the watch, rather, of someone who thinks that I'm influencing them and that I have to put out some drivel every particular number of days. And when you look at research that says how to improve follower numbers and so on and so forth, they're always saying release on this schedule and at that time of day even. Imagine the stress of that. And they may be right, but there's also an awful lot of people right now who are trying to make content as quickly as possible, relying on sources that are not human, that are not themselves. And I need to report on my thoughts on that at some point. But what I'm trying to do here is completely real. It is me. It is getting things off my chest, both to help me digest them, realize where I am in the world, what I need to be going through, how I'm going to get through, and hoping that it's helping people as well, because I feel that the content that I think of, the way that I present it, is an attempt at being universal. And I think in the first 4 episodes, I never once mentioned wife, parents, sister. It's intentionally generic. I always say those whom I hold dear, but this is kind of a different episode. And how long has it been going on? Long enough. I think that's about all I have to say, friends. If you can take anything out of this, I would encourage you to think of your passions, your passion projects as just that. If you are not required to do something, if you are not going to lose a job, a relationship, a federal status of some kind, or any other thing that really matters in life to keep the way that you are living, then take it all with a grain of salt. Have fun. Do what you want when you want, and people will benefit from it. And the funny part of it, friends, as I said, I've been listening to podcasts for 10, 15 years, however long they've been around. And all of the weekly or semi-weekly or bi-weekly ones that I listen to, I wouldn't notice if they didn't have an episode come out. So, and in those cases where I would notice, I'd actually be kind of relieved because I have such a backlog of awesome programming that I follow. So hopefully you either didn't notice and you're saying, what is this episode for anyway? Or you're going to say, I was relieved. Let's get back into it. So, as often as I can, I'll be releasing things at Rick Seaholm around wherever I feel like it. And as often as I can, you'll have a feed populated with episodes of No Other Life. It appears to me that the video feed of this doesn't work in a lot of podcast systems. Either I'm doing something wrong or I don't understand. But it certainly appears that more people are listening to this anyhow. The video feed that I manage for it regardless, I still intend to put that on YouTube because I think there's value there. And I continually snip it up and put it on Instagram and so on. So you'll still be able to find it around. But if you are specifically a video subscriber, I hope you'll find me in those places, or learn to enjoy me in the car and train without the video as an audio subscriber. I have gone on long enough, friends. So go, turn off this scary magic screen and take care of yourselves, those around you, because we have no